So we've already talked about the college admissions and the funding. And next, I really want to make sure we talk about what your funding situation is. So what I really want to emphasize quickly is have a funding plan. You can include your funding plan and your career and college plan. It doesn't have to be two separate plans, but make provisions in your plan to talk about how you will pay for your next endeavor. Whether you do a military ROTC scholarship, whether you go to four-year school, go straight out into the workforce, but if there's funding involved, make sure you have a plan for what you do next. Also, it's important that if you are planning to go to a 2-year, 4-year, or a community college, please factor in the cost of attendance. Make sure you know how much the room and board, the tuition costs are. Those are the costs that you're going to pay directly to the college or university, or the indirect costs, the books, supplies, fees, computers, your travel. Those sort of expenses you will have to pay directly. But make sure that you think those through as you're picking a college that's on the West Coast, East Coast, close to home, far away from home, etc. Now, depending on where you go to school, as you can see from this example, it was from a U.S. News article back in 2020, the in-state public school was roughly $10K a year. That same public school, if you were attending from out-of-state tuition, was double. The private school, the cost of a private school, generally speaking, on average is about 3 times that of a local public school. So that's why I say know the differences and go where you can afford. Now, you add it to your plan, as we've talked about. Make sure that you know the different ways you can pay for college. You can pay for it out of your own pocket. If your parents have a cost savings or college savings plan, you can leverage. Sometimes you can use certain life insurance policies to help offset your college expenses, or, and I don't recommend it, but your parents could take funds out or do a loan from their retirement plan if they wanted to. But those are called household sources, money you and your parents would have to come up with. The other way is for you to pay for your education with outside sources. This is where you get into financial aid, federal government, state government, grants, private entities, scholarships, grants, or if you work for an employer education reimbursement program can help. These are anything outside of your house is considered an outside source. Now, financial aid, this is money. Like if you want to get money from the federal government or state governments, they consider that financial aid, generally speaking. And the federal government gives out about $120 billion every year. It could be work study, up to like 20 hours a week working on campus, and they apply it towards your tuition, scholarships, or student loans. So those are some different options. Now, student loans are the funds that you have to pay back. Scholarships and grants are considered gift aid or free money that you don't have to pay back. But once you start getting into student loans, then you start to accumulate loan balances with interest and sometimes without interest. But right now we have about $1.75 trillion worth of student loan debt floating around in the U.S. 45 million people are borrowing money. And the average person as of 2023 had roughly $37,000 in student loans. So anytime, like what Mr. General Gillespie talked about with his program, anytime you can minimize how much you have to pay out of pocket, sometimes you have to make a short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain. That is what I would highly, highly recommend, so that you don't have to graduate from college and you're already starting out and so much debt is weighing you down. That's why these programs exist. Depending on where you live, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but if you live in the DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia area, Georgia, Florida, you're in the top 5 areas with the highest student loan debt. The lowest, good news, if you're in Wyoming, etc., Puerto Rico, Iowa, North Dakota, South Dakota, it's a lot lower. So know what that looks like for you. One important thing I did want to cover in the next 15 minutes would be on the FAFSA. Please make sure, my rising seniors, listen to me, you want to complete your free application for federal student aid, go to this website, you'll set up the account, it's free. But if you expect or want financial aid from the college or universities you're applying to, every college you apply to, you must have a FAFSA sent to them. So once you fill it out one time and designate I want to send it to these 5, these 8 colleges. They'll automatically send them to those colleges once you do your part. This year, they started a new form, and that new form has some different calculations in it. It's a streamlined process. You should be able to apply a lot easier. I did it with my sons this year using the new form. It took us like 10, 15 minutes. But you'll want to gather up all of your financial documents, you and your parents or guardians information. And every October 1st, they release the new version of the form for that academic school year. Again, while you are in college, so whether you are incoming freshman, a high school senior, starting your high school senior year until you graduate from college, every year, every October, I would send a reminder on my phone, every October 1st, complete your FAFSA for that upcoming school year. Every year you're in school. If you're currently in college right now and you don't complete the FAFSA, don't expect the college or university to calculate how much financial aid you're eligible for. They need this before they'll calculate your financial aid. So if you're a high school senior, I've applied to the colleges I'm going to, I need to fill out this FAFSA so that as soon as they admit you, they'll already have your FAFSA information. They can start telling you how much money you're eligible for. Don't wait until March, April, or May. Do it in the fall, right along with the process to apply for those colleges. I really wanted to emphasize that. You can read about the new process, but ultimately, once you fill out that paperwork, you're going to get asked anywhere from 18 to 26 questions. And once you complete that, they're going to spit out what they call a FAFSA submission summary report. And it's going to give you a SAI. It's called a Student Aid Index. We used to call it Expected Family Contribution, EFC. They're going to ask you, what's your SAI number? This is how much they think you can pay out of pocket. The higher the number, the less financial aid in terms of grants and scholarships the university might award you. Now, it also that submission summary report will tell you if you're eligible for Pell Grant funds. Usually individuals with lower incomes will qualify for the Pell Grants, but you want to complete the FAFSA as early in your academic years, every year while you're in college as possible. So you'll know if you need to find other sources of funding. And that's really the essence of that process. Once you go through, you complete it, they'll spit you out your SAI score, tell you what you're eligible for, and then they will calculate, you'll submit your application to all the colleges you are applying to. That's the only way the college will be able to calculate your financial aid is once they have your SAI information. Once they calculate it, you will get probably a letter in the mail, an email, or you can log into that school's portal and see what financial aid they're offering you. It could be a financial aid award letter or a breakdown on their website. You'll need to determine, is everything covered? If the answer is yes, great. If everything isn't covered financially and you still have to pay out of pocket, that's when you want to start looking for scholarships. And that's where I want to spend the last 10 minutes sharing with you. Again, scholarships are money you don't have to pay back. Is there any better money than money you don't owe anybody when you're done? That's why that Army ROTC, but also the Navy has a ROTC program, the Air Force has one, the Marine Corps has one, and then there are some reserve programs too. So do your research. Mr. Gillespie talked about the Army's program, but guess what? Certain schools have different ROTC programs. Do your research early, because you saw with his presentation, there are set deadlines they have to follow. So do your research early, do it this month. And that way you can build in, hey, I need to get my application in for the October board early. But if you're looking for scholarships, I want to share some strategies on what you should do to get the most out of your scholarships. First of all, scholarship applications are very similar to college applications, except you're not getting awarded to a university, you're getting awarded money. So they may still want your test scores, your transcripts. They may want a verification letter or acceptance letter saying you did get into a certain college already. Then you may have to write an essay or letters of recommendation. If you can, provide your scholar profile if they'll allow for additional documents. And sometimes for financial needs scholarships, they will ask you to provide proof of income or tax returns for you and your parents. So be prepared to submit similar documents. Also, please tailor your scholarship application to based on what that entity needs from you. Every scholarship application is not the same. So be prepared to update your scholar profile or write an essay to make sure that you comply with their instructions. And I say comply with instructions almost on everything I talk about, whether you're in high school, college, or you're trying to find a 9-to-5 job post-college. Again, you'll see the scholar profile. Use it for your scholarship applications again. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on that because we've already talked about how do you use that to your advantage. But this is the most important part of the scholarship talk. The best way to find scholarships is to focus on what makes you unique. Use what's different about you. Use what's odd about you. Use what's great about you. Use what you enjoy doing to search for scholarships. There's so many different types of scholarships out there that you can really maximize. And they're not all academic or merit based. So you don't always have to have a strong GPA or a strong SAT or ACT test score. Look for big scholarships and small scholarships. Look for the ones that nobody knows exist. Why? Because when there's low competition, there's low competition. You're increasing your odds of getting awarded the scholarship. So look out in your local communities where few people are applying or few people are even eligible. I'm going to answer your questions at the end just because I want to get through this content, but I do see your questions. Look for the ones that have essays. Why? Because most of y'all young people, I hate to say it, don't want to write essays. Well, guess what? Essays are a big differentiator between you getting money and not. So my students, my young adults are writing essays. Write the essay, get good at it, get somebody to review and proofread them. And few people want to seek out getting letters of recommendations. Get the letter recommendations, get them early, know who can write you powerful and compelling letters early. No one else is you. So you can uniquely look for scholarships and write your essays in a way that makes you stand out. And I would highly encourage you to do so. Last thing I want to do is leave you with this example. I had a student, and some of you have seen this before, but I want to run through it with the group. There was a young lady who called me. My phone number is in my book, my Google number. And one day it rang, and this young lady was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you answered the phone." I'm like, "Yeah, I answered the phone. I'm like everybody else." But anyway, she needed help. So she tells me her story, and it went something like this. Her name was Gloria. She was a Japanese American in high school. I changed some of the data to protect the innocent. Japanese American student, high school senior with a 3.92 GPA who lived in Virginia. She wanted to go to college and major in chemistry. She mentioned that she plays the piano. She's pretty smart, but she had concerns that her ADHD might hinder her from learning at the same pace that other students in college would learn. She also had a concern that she couldn't afford college because her father died during COVID and her mother's income was low. So she reached out to me because no one in her family went to college before and they didn't really understand the process and could help her with her funding. So let me know in the chat, what scholarship types do you think Gloria could apply for? Quickly in the chat, just start rattling off the different type of scholarships that you think she could apply for. Merit, music, first gen, needs-based, ethnicity, single parent, based on her major. All very, 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 very good. I'm seeing if I missed disability, music, excellent. And you all are all correct. Major, first gen, all she could find. Yep, David, I'm with you on that. Anything she can find, really. STEM, okay, that was great. So what if I told you, I'm gonna go to the next slide. Every last one of y'all are right. She's a female. Nobody mentioned gender. She's a female. Somebody mentioned ethnicity. She's a minority female, or just a minority, or just a female. She's a high school senior. Sometimes people are only earmarking funds. You must be a high school senior. Academic, GPA. She had a really strong GPA, What about scholarships that say you must be a student in the state of Virginia or Prince William County or Prince George County? Look for the ones where 99% of the rest of the world can't even get access to because they don't live in your state, they don't live in your county. STEM, major, arts, all those talents, disabilities, COVID. Do you know that there are folks who were giving out scholarships because individuals had challenges with COVID or family members who were impacted by COVID? What about a scholarship for a student with a parent who was deceased? Somebody mentioned single parent. What about financial need? Low income was mentioned. So anytime there is a low income situation, a lot of students with low income situations, they get discouraged because they don't think they can go to college or afford it. Guess what? They absolutely can because there are scholarships just for low income students. So please don't let nobody tell you what you cannot do, because these examples are examples of everything you have going on you can use to your advantage, including her ADHD. Somebody talked about disability already. So use what you have to get what you need, y'all. And then first generation. And then there are so many other categories as well. So when the students ask me, Dr. Murray, where can I find scholarships? Everywhere. Google it. Google is your best friend. So while you can look for scholarships everywhere, I strongly encourage you to use keywords and put them in quotes. Scholarships for $1,000, Virginia 2024, put the year so that you can eliminate 2023, 2020, 2018 scholarships. Put scholarships for Virginia students in quotes. So you put in quotes so that those things bubble up in your search. STEM, you can even combine keywords like the minority female or minority female in STEM or minority female with ADHD. So start to combine them, because the more you combine them, the more narrowly focused your scholarship search will be, and the fewer students will be eligible for them, which increases your chances of applying and getting awarded those scholarships. Put together a list, same as you do with your college tracking. Highly encourage you to put together a list of all the scholarships that you find in your unique search that you are eligible for. Put the link, copy paste the link, because you don't want to have to go figure out, where did I see that scholarship at? I can't get back to it. Don't do that. Never do work twice for the same thing. Put the link here, all the other details on what makes you eligible and the criteria, so you can have them in one place. And then sort it based on the dates, the due dates. Do the same as you did with your college applications. I did this for my sons, and it was extremely impactful. And here's why. When he started applying for scholarships, and he ended up, by the way, with both athletic and academic scholarships. But when he started applying, we went in January, we focused on the scholarships that were due in February. So if you sort it by the month, you can work 1 month ahead of where you need to be, instead of trying to fill out 50 scholarship applications at one time, overwhelming yourself. So work smarter and not harder by having a template. Again, this is one of the templates in my suite of workbook products. I always talk about don't write trash essays when it comes to scholarships, because this is going to determine if people want to give you money or not. They're going to look at your personality through your writing, your ability to write well, and they're going to say, you know what, she just didn't put forth any effort, or she gave us a scholarship, but she has the wrong entity name on it. You're filling out a Coca-Cola scholarship application, and the essay says Pepsi, because you forgot to do your due diligence and update your application and your essay. So make sure you review it, pay attention to what you're doing, be compelling, and be unique. Tell your unique story through your writing. Put together a checklist. Everything you do should have a checklist to make sure you're not forgetting key things that need to go in your package. And lastly, make sure that you understand your funding situation. Start asking those questions early with your parents now, and find out what they can do to help you to get the funding you need, or to connect you with other people and resources to get you the funding that you need and get off to a great start. Look for scholarships the whole time you're in college, not just your senior year, but to my continuing college students and certainly my graduate students. There are college scholarships on every level: community college, vocational, 2-year, 4-year graduate school, medical school, you name it. Don't stop looking for scholarships until you get what you need. I also have a free online scholarship ebook that has some of these tips in them that will be in the slide deck available to you. Now, this is important. If you want to apply for my scholarships today, I highly encourage you to join my exclusive group. It's either on, you can join Facebook. It's called Scholarships for Scholars. You put these exact words in on Facebook, Instagram, and then go to @Christie, as it's written here, and join any one of those platforms, because as I hear about scholarships, especially the unique ones that I know there aren't a lot of applicants, I'm going to push it out to my exclusive network first, and that'll increase your chances. So you will need to provide the screenshot that you've joined one of these 3 groups when you apply for my scholarships later tonight. Now, with that being said, I'm going to transition to a giveaway, and then we're going to move on to our next speaker, Mr. Matt Jordan, who's going to talk about apprenticeships coming up next. But as a giveaway, another student giveaway, and this time it will be for my college funding book and workbook. So be ready in the chat if you want to, for an opportunity. So for this particular, let me pull up the chat. For this particular one, the first student who can share with me, let's see, what do I want to ask? What's the acronym for the, and you have to get the acronym correctly, for the free application that you have to fill out in order to get any financial aid? Oh, Chancellor. Chancellor, you're on it. It's the free application for federal student aid.